Hey, what's up guys, and today I'm going to be giving you a new series. What if Naruto was a direct descendant of the sage? Before this episode starts, I want to tell you guys I haven't gotten news on Anime King 2 yet, but the moment I do, I'll be informing you. And yes, I'll be getting a lot of ideas about Anime King 3, and I'm working on a lot of them, so just give me some time, but they're going to be out very soon. But tonight I'm going to be posting a new episode of What If Naruto was betrayed by Hagoromo, so stay tuned for that, guys. And yeah, go ahead and check out Digitize 27. I'll be leaving a link down in the description for you guys to enjoy this. And remember guys, there will be no fanfiction posted over Anime King 3. None at all guys. All ideas over there are my own. Because I see some of you guys asking for a link, and there will be no fanfiction posted over there guys, so yeah. And remember guys, if you want to see part 2 of this new series, What If Naruto was a direct descendant of the sage? Stay in tune and comment down below and enjoy guys. Tell me if you want part 2. And yeah, without wasting much more time, let's get straight to this new episode. Start the intro. Get out of my store, you damn hoodlum! As a loud thud could be heard, the people of Konoha ignored the scene in front of them, while one shopkeeper was staring and glaring at the young boy. Hey, what's the big deal, old man? I gotta get shuriken and kunai so I can train to be a ninja. The man huffed as he turned away, as if he will ever let a brat like you become a ninja. He was about to slam the door to his shop, but he turned towards the blue-eye boy. And don't ever let me catch you in my store again, or there will be hell to pay. And with that he slammed the door close, the small door sign flipping to open by the breeze. What a twist of irony. The boy picked himself up. Just you see, he said as he turned to all the other people who were simply ignoring him being there. You will all see, I'm gonna become Hokage one day. And with that he took off down the street. After he was gone, the residents of the shopping area watched him go, some of them whispering in hushed voices. Did you see him today? Disgraceful. I don't know what Hokage is thinking, allowing someone like that to join the Ninja Academy. I know, my little Ami-chan will be in the same year as him. I just know that he will try to corrupt her. Well, I know for sure I'm keeping my boy away from him. That little demon won't destroy the next generation as well. But the child did not hear any of them, as he was running, tears at the corner of his eyes. The young blue-eye boy made his way towards the office. As he entered, hey Gigi, I need your help. Gigi? He was surprised. He didn't see often when his grandfather figure was not here. As he looked around the chair, no one is there. He's not here. Well, I guess he's out doing kick-ass ninja stuff. He's a Hokage after all. With that simple piece of logic in his head, the boy quickly went to work. As he went around the decks that was stacked up with many mission reports. But he didn't care about that as he started to go through the drawers, messing up the file system by accident because he did not know. As he didn't find what he was looking for, as he released a long sigh. Why doesn't Gigi have any shuriken or kunai? A grin then split his face, as he turned and looked over at the picture of a Hokage on the wall. Gigi, think I don't know about his super secret hiding spot? As he made his way towards a framed photo, pulling it to one side as there was a metal safe underneath it. The old man should not underestimate the one and only Naruto Uzumaki. As Naruto pressed his ear to the metal, never noticing the strange kanji that spread out the moment he touched it. He twists the lock with a well-precise click, hearing all of them. As he heard the last click, he smiles, he swings the metal door open. As Naruto frowned with displeasure, he saw the old man open the safe already, but he never saw what was inside. His mind came up with different scenarios, different amazing things for him to find, but he was rather disappointed. A stupid scroll? Of course a scroll was as tall as Naruto was, but that was not the point to Naruto. For all the things Gigi could put in the safe, he chose a dumb scroll. As he picked up the scroll, never noticing the 3 sets of hands that tied over their kunai pouches, watching him. With a grunt of effort, he lifted the large scroll, before he was forced to drop it with a thud. Squinting his eyes, Naruto noticed a glint of metal. As Naruto reached into the safe once again, pulling out his prize. But his look became rather confused. What kind of kunai is this? As he held up a kunai with 3 pointers on it, with a paper wrapped around the handle, with a strange kanji written on it. With a sigh, he tossed it back in the safe. It was probably useless. Probably some relic that the old man was keeping. As he swung the door close, as he slid the picture back into what he thought was the correct position, as he walked back over to the decks, as he started to scan his hand over the decks, as he put his hand under it and started to scan as well, until he heard a small click as his hand pressed something, as a secret compartment opened up at the side of the decks. This one was much more small than the safe, and the contents confused Naruto even more. Only thing that was in there was a small orange book, a round glass, a few sheets of paper, and a normal looking scroll with a spiral design on the front. Nothing again. How come Jichi didn't have any kunais in the office? As he slammed the compartment back shut, as he walked out of the room, as a small black silhouette landed in the office. When the Hokage came back in later with a delegate from Kumo, as he found a rather amused dog-masked envelope waiting for him with an interesting story. Time skip, the sun started to dip beyond the horizon as Naruto made his way down the busy streets, as people started to make their way home. There was a frown in his face as he made his way. Tomorrow he was supposed to start at the Ninja Academy. It was a year earlier than most did, but the Hokage assured him that he would be fine. The only problem was the stores refused to sell him shurikens and kunais. He was so lost in his thoughts he wasn't able to react in time as a tall man walked into his path. The result was Naruto bouncing back like he just walked into a wall, as the tall man just sneered. Naruto looked up, expecting to be reprimanded for being so careless, but all he saw was a logo of the Konoha police force, and a flash of red eyes before the man walked on, ignoring Naruto like he wasn't even there. Naruto picked himself up off the ground, dusting himself off, as he watched the man went off, as a light bulb clicked in his head. With that, he made his way towards the Uchiha compound. Those people with the funny red eyes always have kunai pouches. I'm sure if I borrow a few, no one will notice. As he quickly made his way towards the western districts of Konoha. A good half an hour later, as Naruto was near the massive stone wall that separated the Uchiha compound from Konoha. He never really thought about the Uchiha all that much, but them having a wall around their compound was rather strange. He simply shrugged as he started to scale the wall, using handholds and cracks that were too small for any other handholds to grip onto, but he was rather small. As he flipped his legs over, as he dropped to the other side, he rubbed the back of his head, as he accidentally crushed a flower bed. As he got up fully, as he stealthily, well at least to him, made his way to whoever backyard that he landed into. Strangely, none of the lights were on. It wasn't that late at night. Right now Naruto would be preparing himself a cup ramen. As he looked through a window, but the house was deserted. But he smiled. This would make it easier to grab some kunai and shurikens. He tried to lift the window, but the thing wouldn't budge an inch. With a small grunt of annoyance, Naruto abandoned it. As he hurried back through the garden, as he went on an empty street, as he found it curious that no one is out. He never saw the streets in Konoha so quiet before midnight before. He scampered across the street, ducking another alley between two homes. He then remembered that all the clan in Konoha were self-sustaining, which meant there had to be stores for them to buy things inside their clan. As he started to scan, he nearly squealed out when he spotted what he was looking for. The store was across from him, a large sign that he couldn't really make out, but he could see the weapons that were hanging inside. As he rushed forward towards the door, he pushed it, but it was locked. Frowning, he looked around. He then noticed a small opening at the door, probably whatever animal that the person had. He decided to make his way around to find another window or something, when he heard footsteps. His eyes widened as he ducked down, pushing himself through the animal opening, which was obvious and never meant for human use, as he found himself stuck. But as the footsteps came closer, he pushed himself harder, and he found himself in the store. He sat there, leaning against the door as he panted, as he calmed himself down. He was regret coming here. Generally, the people of Konoha left him alone, but sometimes some of them was less forgiving, and he noticed the people with the red eyes were amongst that group. Check around some more, I was sure I heard something. Near the heart. He felt like it was going to jump out of his chest as he heard the male voice right at the door. Yeah, I don't hear anything. I'm sure you're just hearing things. You've been too jumpy lately. You need to calm down. Another voice said, sounding rather closer, which made Naruto break out in a cold sweat. Shut up, you know. Fugaku, Sama orders. While the meeting are taking place, the streets has to be clear. We don't want anyone to know what is going on. If there's a spy out here from the Hokage, we have to flush them out and deal with them. As Naruto was wondering what was going on, why would the Hokage need to spy on his own shinobis? That didn't make sense at all. To satisfy his curiosity, he slowly put up his head. As he looked through one of the windows, only to duck back down immediately as he caught a glimpse of the red eyes. Hey, what was that? As Naruto heard footsteps coming towards the shop that he was in. What? The other one said in a rather bored tone. There is something in the shop, I'm sure of it. As Naruto quickly went deeper into the shop, using shadows to hide himself. On his way, his hand clenched over one of the kunais on the counters as he pulled it towards his chest. As he held on to it tight, he heard the doorknob rattling before he heard a key jingling. As he heard it turning, and the door was clicked open. Footsteps come next. As Naruto heard the sandal hit the wooden floor. That next minute was agonizing on Naruto's nerves as he heard the Uchiha walk around the shop. As the man then went towards the door, seems I was wrong. As Naruto released a breath that he did not know he was holding, but he wasn't, well, low enough. As he was grabbed by the collar as his face was yanked up. As his eyes met, cold, red Sharingan looking in them. Well, what do we have here? A little too young to be a spy, don't you think? As he looked over towards his companion. It was probably the adrenaline or the fright that he must be felt in. But Naruto lashed out with a kunai. The man cried out in pain and released Naruto as kunai had stabbed him right in the arm. Naruto wasted no time as he rushed. He dived through the man's companion's legs, going underneath it as he got back to his feet and started to run. The two Uchihas wasn't surprised for long as they went after him. By the time Naruto saw the wall, the two shinobis were already behind him. Using speed and engine Naruto didn't even realize that he took off even faster. He did everything in his power to slide through holes and fences to get away from them. As Naruto ducked and leaped, quickly making his way as he saw a cat there. He grabbed the cat and threw it behind him. The sleeping cat, as its name was Tora, from what you can see on the thing's color, wasn't too happy about that as he started to scratch and claw at the two men. That was long enough for Naruto to reach his destination. It wasn't uncommon for Naruto to be chased due to his history of a prankster. However, in those escapes, he would have planned his way to escape out of them. This was sudden and rushed. There was only one place nearby that he could feel safe as he burst through the flaps off. Ichigo Ramen surprised the young teenage girl who was washing the dishes. She didn't have time to cry in surprise as Naruto used the seat as a springboard and leaped over the counter. As he landed and clutched onto her leg. As she didn't have time to ask him anything because two men came in the shop. Quickly regaining her composure, she put a smile on her face. Welcome to Ichigo Ramen. I am Ayam. How may I help you, she asked. One of the men, his Sharingan activated, gave the shop a one over before he snorted. As he spun on his heel and marched out, the scowl on his face intensifying. The man behind him gave Ayam an apologetic look before he went after his companion. Ayam sighed. What did you do, Naruto, she asked. Naruto gave a sheepish smile as he rubbed back his neck. As she smiled as she offered him a hand. She brought him to the back of the shop, leading towards the couch that was there. Just stay there, Naruto, I'll make us some tea, and you can explain what silly prank you pulled this time. As Naruto gave a small nod, as she went back to the kitchen area. Thanks, Ayam-chan, said Naruto as she stopped. She smiled. Despite not being blood, she thought of him as her little brother, as he was everything but not blood related. Hey, what are big sisters for, huh? As Naruto seemed to settle in the couch after hearing that, as the older man made his way down the stairs to see what the commotion was about. Ah, Naruto, my boy, what brings you to our humble abode? As Naruto turned to see one of his precious people as he smiled. Toki. The man simply smiled as he placed a hand on Naruto's shoulder. Now who did you manage to upset this time, my boy? I hope it wasn't a Hyuga. You knew how they reacted last time. As he let out that small laugh. As you remember, Naruto rushed into the store, one of his arms being on the receiving end of one of the Hyuga style. It had taken a few hours before Naruto could feel anything in that limb. Well, he was the one that went and pranked them. And he was laughing the entire time. I didn't do anything, they chased after me. Toki just gave him a knowing smile. Honestly, he believed that one day the boy pranks would get him into a lot of trouble. Still, him and Ayam will be waiting for him, with a warm smile and a bowl of ramen at the end of the day. Nothing less for their best customer. Of course they did, Naruto, and they hid the stone of a solid gold statue of the fourth Hokage. Naruto's eyes widened. Wait, really? That's so cool. Toki just sighed. He should have known better than to try and use sarcasm on someone as innocent as Naruto. No, Naruto, you see, Suddenly, the man stopped talking. As Naruto wondered why as he turned, as his eyes went wide, as Toki dropped to the floor, as Naruto watched, the blood splatter, a single kunai sticking out of his throat. Behind him stood the two Uchiha that was chasing him. The one that the Sharingan activate, his eyes were spinning, with a sick glint in it. Orimaru, what are you doing? The one behind him seemed shocked by his companion's actions, his eyes flicking towards the dead man and his companion. Shut it, Takaho. There can't be any witnesses. Do you know what will happen if word gets to the Hokage about the coup? Unfortunately, Ayam chose that moment to walk back into the room, a tray of tea balancing on one hand. Time seemed to slow down as she watched. Naruto, with the two men ready to strike, her father on the floor, blood seeping out of his neck, his eyes empty. As she screamed, only to find 3 kunais buried in her stomach. She looked down as the blood started to soak her clothing, as her face was scrunched up, like she couldn't believe what was happening. As she dropped to her knees and fell over to her side, Naruto was speechless. Where his surrogate sister was on the floor, unmoving and pale. The Uchiha arm was still outstretched from throwing the kunai, and his friend was looking at him in pure shock. As Naruto rushed over, moving from the man's grip as he rushed towards Ayam. Ayam, please, Ayam, he said, as he tugged at her clothes, trying to make her wake up, showing that she was alive. Suddenly, rough hands grabbed him by the collar as he was turned around to face the Sharingan eyes. As the eyes started to hypnotize him as they spin, as he felt drowsy, like a huge portion of energy was ripped from his body. As Naruto saw his hands that were covered in Ayam's blood, something welled up inside his chest that he never felt before. Pure, unbridled rage, anger that cannot be quelled, as the thing felt overwhelming, hatred, fury at these people for taking ones that were so close to him, rage at the entire world, for this to happen to him, and cursed himself at his own inability to protect those that meant everything to him. He exploded in a sudden rage as he felt his entire body got fluctuated with pure power. Everything seemed to slide in perfect focus, colors come alive like never before. An immense pressure started to build up inside of him, building and building, begging to be released. Everything flashed, and then nothing. Time skip as Naruto woke up in a groan. He didn't understand where he was. As his eyes readjusted as he saw the moon above him, he lifted himself to find himself in a crater in the ground. He didn't want to be here to explain when Ninja arrived, so he got to his feet. Everything was more vivid than it used to be. Colors were brighter, and there was a strange glow that was around the area, like everything was emitting a light. Confused, he climbed out of the crater. As he started to walk, his vision still blurry, but everything was clear at the same time as he was confused. As he fell to his knees, he never even noticed when he passed through the gates, the Chunin guards, not there for the moment. As Naruto stayed here, crying. He was crying. The full force of what happened slammed into him, as he felt something drop on his head, and another drop on his back. As rain started to pour down where he was, it was like the heavens themselves share in his pain. The only family that he ever knew, the only people that he truly loved, to care for him, had been killed right in front of him. Not only that, he killed. As he saw it, there was 2 mangled bodies inside of the crater, ripped beyond repair. But he saw the jacket, the piece of jacket of the Uchiha police force. He didn't know how he did it, but he did. One moment there was a surge of power behind his eyes. Next he was waking up in a nightmare scene. He hadn't even seen Ayam or took his body, and he didn't want to see them after the state that he saw the 2 Uchihas in. After what seemed like an eternity of just lying there in the rain, he pulled himself back to his feet. He couldn't go back now. Not after he killed 2 shinobi of Leaf. He may have been called stupid or naive sometime, but he knew the punishment for murder. As he was a murderer, what would his Jiji think of him now? What did Ayam or Toki think? They were the kindest, more caring people he ever knew. What would they be like for Hokage? Not to sign his death warrant. He wouldn't let it happen, he would just go away. Far enough where he couldn't hurt anyone anymore, and no one could hurt him. As he stepped forward, as he started to run, he didn't know where he was going. But he knew that he was going away from Konoha, away from his home. Time skip, Shiriko was having a strange day. That much was certain when his teacup suddenly cracked, staining his robes. After that, one of the clocks fell off his wall when he passed, and he found a dead bird on the windowsill. He had never really been a superstitious man, despite being a monk. despite seeing so much in his time in the 12 Ninja Guardian for that nonsense. But it was hard to ignore all these strange signs he was receiving, and now he was on guard patrolling the fire temple. It was normally a mundane task, loaded by the rest of the monks, as much as grave duty. So imagine his surprise when he stumbled upon a blonde child, looking like he hadn't eaten in some days, just lying in the forest clearing. He may have been a trained ninja, but he was a monk as well. So the first thing he did was rush over to see if the child was okay. He let out a small sigh of relief when he felt a pulse on the boy's wrist and picked him up. The child was terribly malnourished and would require immediate care. He was walking back as the child started to stir, as he held on to him. As he started to twist and turn, the monk slowly saw one of his eyes, like it wanted to flutter open, and he raised his hand to see, because the boy's eyes were moving frantically under their socket. He nearly dropped the boy when he saw it though. After all, it wasn't every day that you saw the ripple pattern of the Rinnegan. Time skip. Naruto's vision was rather fuzzy, as he slowly opened his eyes. "Ah, I see you're awake," said a voice. As Naruto's head was swimming from exhaustion and hunger, he tried to lift his head, but he felt nauseous, nearly falling off the bed that he was on. "Careful, child, you shouldn't be trying to move just yet." A wrinkled but strong hand held on to his shoulder. Naruto tilted his head slightly, wincing as the light in the far wall nearly blinded him. "What's going on? Where am I?" His voice sounded weak, and his throat sounded very dry, as he found a wooden cup pressed up against his lips. Gratefully, he sipped at the cooling water as he felt his thirst quenched for now. He tried to open his eyes once again with limited success, as he caught the silhouette of the man sitting next to him. "You're at the fire temple, child. Young Shiruku found you while he was patrolling the grounds. It is a sanctuary for priests and monks as myself to find solace for meditation." Naruto blinked in response as he picked himself up. The man next to him was old, very old. His face was wrinkled almost to the point where his eyes seemed like they were permanently squinted. A small beard rose from his chin, as the hair was grey with a few streaks of white. Even so though, his face was kind and serene. Well, you could expect that from a monk. What was amazing though, the man seemed to be shrouded in an aura of energy, glowing in that same blue light Naruto had seen ever since the incident which led to his self-imposed exile from Konoha. But where the energy had been chaotic and unruly, around the monk it looked like flowing water, calm and steady. "I see you do not know much of the world if my words confuse you." The man smiled as he thought. Naruto blinked in surprise. He realized what the man actually said. "Hey, are you calling me stupid?" The man laughed a bit before he placed another hand on Naruto's shoulder. As Naruto shied away from the contact, he didn't know why, but it felt rather unpleasant, a feeling. "Not at all, my lad," the old man said. "Let's just say ignorant," as he gave another kindly smile, before his gaze became a bit serious. "Let me have a look at your eyes, child. I need to check on something." He leaned forward, but Naruto backed away from the man's hands. The old monk merely took his hands back, holding them back in a placated manner. "What are you going to do to my eyes?" The man chuckled as he waved his arm to show that he meant no harm. Nothing, my lad. I merely want to take a look at them." Naruto seemed hesitant to comply, but eventually leaned forward and opened his eyes for the monk to take a look at them. Young Shiriko was correct then, as he gazed and knew the eyes that they were the window to enlightenment. What is it about my eyes, and how do you see anything when you squint so much?" As the monk seemed to chuckle. My, aren't you an energetic one? Tell me, what do you know about those eyes of yours?" Naruto blinked. "Huh? My eyes? They're blue. And they let me see stuff, doesn't yours? What's it to you?" Naruto asked. The monk raised an eyebrow as he reached into the sleeve of his robe, as he pulled out a small hand mirror. "Blue, you say? Is that what you see?" As Naruto took the small mirror, he nearly dropped it in surprise what he saw, as he checked his face several times to see if this was actually real. As he placed a finger and touched a corner of his eye, yes, it was his face. "So, why, what is this? What happened to my eyes? They look all weird." "Those, my boy, are what are known as the Rinnegan, a dojutsu like the Sharingan or Byakugan." Naruto turned towards the man in confusion. "Dojoku? Staringan? Bamakan?" The monk chuckled to himself, not sure what he was thinking, trying to explain things like these to a child. He offered a hand, which Naruto seemed hesitant to accept at first, but he took it anyway. "Walk with me, child. We have a lot to talk about." Naruto gazed up at him, his new, purple eyes, wide, with shine like, curiousness. Although those eyes contained very much more. "What's your name, my boy?" As he left the small room that Naruto was lying in, as Naruto looked around, the corridor that they were now in seemed barren and Spartan as the one he woke up in. The old man saw the curious look on his face. This is a temple, child. We have little use for material possessions or gains. They are distractions from the pursuit of enlightenment. Seeing Naruto confused and he chuckled, rubbing the back of his head in a very unlike monk action. We don't have a lot, he said. Yeah, I didn't have a lot back in... As Naruto looked down, the hand that was not occupied by the monk clenching in a fist. Chikaku. As Naruto looked at him, Chikaku, that's my name, the head monk of the fire temple, here in the land of fire. And yours? Naruto. As Chikaku turned and looked through the window, as a group of monks was practicing outside. Maelstrom, a good strong name. I feel their future will be filled with great things, if not hardship to get there. But has to only be accepted, of course. We all must go through hardships to get this gift of life. Naruto looked at him, before the man nodded as he walked to the corridor again. Well, you are more than welcome to stay here, Naruto. We cannot promise you a comfortable life, but you will have companionship and peace if you so choose. Naruto's eyes widened. You would let me stay here? Chikaku merely shrugged to himself, not bothering to turn around. Of course, what kind of monk would I be if I turn away a starving child on my doorstep? Come now, we shall find you some food and a place to sleep. I'm sure Sora will be delighted to have someone his own age to talk to. Suddenly, Naruto stopped as the elder monk felt Naruto's hand slipped out of his hand. He turned back to see Naruto standing there, his head lowered. I can't. As the monk saw tears rolling down Naruto's cheeks. I don't deserve it. I'm a monster, he said. Naruto was shocked though when he felt someone hug him. Chikaku would take him into a warm hug, patting Naruto back in a comfortable manner. Don't say that, Naruto. You're not a monster. I refuse to believe any child as yourself can be a monster. As he stood up, as Naruto was sad to feel the warmth of the comfort of the hug disappear. But he saw a hand in front of your face. Come now, tell me your story, he said. Naruto wiped away the tears as he reached out and took the hand. Time skip. Alright, Naruto, what do you know about chakra? Chachara, said Naruto. Chikaku merely chuckled as he patted Naruto's head, making Naruto grumble a bit as he messed up his hair. As Naruto was dressed in the clothing of the Fire Temple monks, loose clothing tied by a white sash. Chakra, Naruto, is the lifeblood of the world, the energy that presides in everything and pre-made every living creature on the planet. By meditation and exercises, one can gain control over their chakra, molding it, forming it, in ways that allow us to do many impossible and wise things. As Naruto simply turned his head looking disinterested, as Chikaku bumped Naruto in the head with the end of his staff. Hey, what was that for? Chikaku merely put on an instant smile as the staff was behind him, as it seemed to be some impossible feel or something because the staff was taller than him, yet you could not see it. Whatever do you mean, Naruto-kun? Although it's very poor manners to not pay attention when someone is speaking to you. Naruto merely scowled, rubbing his head where he had been hit. But when he looked like he would retort, Chikaku twisted his staff a bit as Naruto backed off. Sorry, but this chakra does something all that amazing. Chikaku walked forward towards a nearby wall. Oh no? You say you come from Konoha, right? Naruto did not answer as Chikaku saw his tense posture. That's a ninja village. At the mention of shinobi, as the old monk could tell that he had Naruto's full attention. Chakra is what allows ninjas to perform their techniques and jutsu. As Naruto's eyes widened, wait, jutsus? You mean like fireball and those cool explosive dags? Chikaku nodded. Correct, you see by balancing and combining the physical and spiritual energy in one body, you form chakra, which can then be controlled through the use of hand signs to mold specific techniques for your requirement. As he stopped next to one of the imposing walls of the temple, higher than most of the buildings is protected. However, that is not the end of it. Those skilled enough do not require hand seals and can mold chakra through main focus and concentration. As Naruto was practically bounced on his feet at hearing that, as Chikaku decided to hammer the point home. In fact, I believe one of the earliest techniques taught to young ninjas is a surface clinging exercise, like so. As the man then raised one foot and detached the wall, Naruto thought the man was about to fall, but he attached his other feet, and he started to walk up the wall. As Naruto's eyes were wide in surprise, using chakra to stick to a surface no matter what it is. As he walked back down at a calm pace, making it seem like he wasn't defying gravity, but taking a rather small stroll. Of course, there are other ways to mold chakra, you even mentioned one. Naruto was confused by that, he mentioned one. Those explosive tags, they work slightly differently. Instead of molding chakra inside the body, you apply the special seals that mold it for you in whatever medium you choose. It was usually ink though. This is a branch of a ninja art known as Fuinjutsu. It has as many, if not more uses, than its traditional counterparts. At this point, Naruto calmed down slightly, absorbing all this information. So, what does chakra look like? Chikaku started talking to himself. Hey, said Naruto. It's not like I'm dumb or anything. It's just a question. The elder monk calmed down as he patted Naruto back. No, of course not. It's an excellent question. But probably one I should be asking you. Huh? Said Naruto. The man kneeled down on creaky knees as he looked Naruto in the eye. You, my boy, are the one in the dojutsu. Those eyes that allow humanity into the unseen. As he looked around and picked up a nearby pebble. What do you see here? Naruto blinked at the small rock, as he was unsure if it was a trick question or not. A pebble. Chikaku nodded. Is that all you see? As Naruto nodded. Yeah? Why? Is this some kind of sacred stone or something, Naruto asked. Chikaku laughed out loud, as he tossed it over his shoulder. Of course not, my boy, it's just a pebble. Now look at me, what do you see? Naruto gazed at the old monk. I see you, said Naruto. Chikaku smiled as he stood up to his rather unimpressive height. But is that all you see? Naruto blinked at that as he looked at the old monk. Well, you have this red blue outline like you're glowing. Finally, said Chikaku as he patted Naruto on the shoulder. Well then, that's your answer. What you're seeing, it's my chakra. You cannot see it in the pebble because it's not alive. It cannot produce its own energy like plants and animals can. At this, Naruto frowned, falling to step behind the wizard monk. But the pebble had an outline too, said Naruto. Chikaku stopped at that. As he looked back at Naruto, it was kind of green, but it was weird. Like a puzzle piece, and I couldn't see all of the pieces. I don't know how to explain it really, but it's like that. Chikaku merely patted him on the shoulder. It's alright, Naruto. Some people have spent their entire life trying to unravel this mystery of chakra and all the ways it comes in. Few succeed and few are still willing to not divulge that information. In fact, the first and last was the very same eyes of the man that you share. Naruto was surprised there was someone in these eyes as well. Who? Chikaku gave Naruto a mysterious smile as he pushed open a large room, as the place was stacked with books and scrolls, as some of the corners had gathered many cobwebs, as the man walked over to one of the corners, as he picked out a book and took in a breath and blew with the dust. As he opened it, going through the pages, as he stopped, this man, the Sage of Six Paths, as he dropped the book on decks, earning some look from the monks that were in there trying to read as well. As Naruto started to cough, as Naruto looked at the book, it was an image of a man, well, at least a silhouette of a man standing in front of a large beast with 10 massive tails, with a red eye, with strange circles in it like his, and also 9 tomos in them. A sword was in one of the man's hand and a shakijo in one other, like he was holding off the beast. It seemed to be a rubbing of a wood carton because there was no photos in that area. Who was he? Said Naruto. Chikaku looked on the image of the man, the founder of Shinobis, the man who discovered both and unraveled the mysterious and the mystery of chakra. Well, by your eyes, I suspect your ancestor, distantly of course. He was said to have lived over 1,000 years ago after all. Chikaku then flipped over the page to show a crude drawing of a similar Rinnegan eyes. Naruto traced a circle with his fingers, as his other hand went towards his own eye. Or was he like Naruto asked? Chikaku chuckled at that, as he remembered he was standing here as well, asking his previous master about this, so he knew exactly what to say. Unfortunately, not much is known about him. History doesn't stretch that far back, as the records go. From what we know, he seemed to be some kind of wandering holy man, spreading his history about chakra and peace. Eventually, he battled a great evil, vanishing it from the world forever. As Naruto thought back to the first image and shuddered, he couldn't imagine fighting something like that, and it was only a picture. He was also upset to create to the moon. Naruto spun and looked at the monk, as the monk started to chuckle. But I don't put too much stock in that particular legend. As Naruto returned back to the image of the Rinnegan, tracing it with his finger. He must have been powerful. You know, they say the power comes from his eyes. The eyes that you now have. You may have been given a powerful gift, even though the circumstances were terrible. Those eyes give you unrivaled potential. But with that comes great responsibility. I hope you'll be responsible when you get the powers one day. Naruto looked at him, before nodded, fire in his eyes. Good, I see great things in your future, Naruto-kun. Now come, there's someone I want you to meet. Time skip. Chiriko-senpai, what are we doing out here, said Naruto, as they were in one of the largest training grounds in the temple, where the monks come out to test new techniques, so it will not affect the rest of the temple. For safety reasons, Naruto, we don't want anyone getting hurt when we try this. Naruto groaned as he rapped back and forth. The large stone slabs making up the ground were very uncomfortable. Try what? You keep acting all mysterious, senpai. Shiriko nodded as he looked over the seals that he had been setting up on the wall. Chakra suppression seals all around. He didn't believe such a small boy could pose that much danger, but his master told him to take all precautions. So, well, he had to. Alright, we're all ready to start now, Naruto. Are you? Shiriku asks. As the both of them were introduced, after Naruto and the old monk talked in the library. He was Naruto's teacher now, as Naruto had thanked him for saving him. As they had a teacher-student relationship, it was refreshing for the monk to have a new mind to ask him questions. Right for what, senpai? The monk merely smiled as he walked over and sat down in front of Naruto in a cross-legged position. After your... He tried to think of the best way to say this. Incident in Konoha. He winked as he caught the attention Naruto buster, but he went on anyway. He thought it would be better for Naruto to confront his past instead of trying to ignore it. You said you woke up in a crater. Master, Chikaku, think that this may be one of the powers of the Rinnegan. We want to find out what triggered this so in time we can replicate and control it. With meditation, Naruto seemed less sure, but he nodded. Alright, now I'm gonna ask you to remember that night. Remember what you saw. Everything. Naruto blinked in surprise before looking down, his hair overshadowing his eyes. That was a problem he could not forget. He remembered every single detail of that night. It was burned into his eyes. Those spinning red eyes in front of him. The old man. It all was always there, every single detail. The blood in his hands. The overwhelming power he felt through his body. That rage, that pure agonizing rage. The monk became rather alarmed as he felt a large amount of chakra build up inside Naruto. As the thing was large for a Chunin level ninja, he backed away from Naruto when he noticed tears started streaming on Naruto's face. All the chakra was going towards Naruto's eyes. Words that wasn't his own, he didn't know where these words came from. They appeared in his mind, as he felt he needed to say them. Almighty. Push! And just like that, the room exploded. Naruto coughed, as smoke was everywhere. As lucky that the room was covered in seals. But the effect of what he did was immense. Cracks were everywhere, snaking up towards the walls. As he could see most of the damage was in front of him, making it an egg shape. He blinked as he realized something was wrong. Senpai! As he did not spot the blonde monk anywhere. Senpai! He shouted! As the dust went down as he saw the man form, propped up against the wall as he rushed over. His robes were tattered, and him himself looked like he was thrown against a very hard rock, over and over again. Naruto stood there in front of the man, his eyes widened and watering. As he clutched onto the man's robes, this couldn't happen again. As he felt the man took a deep breath. The monk looked down at the blonde that was holding on to his chest as he chuckled softly. He had to stop, as his chest burned. Shiriku looked at Naruto. Oh, the first thing we need to do is work on meditation. Can't have you doing this every training ground we have, huh? As Naruto looked up, tears in his eyes, he wrapped his tiny arms around the man as far as he could. The monk winks at the pressure, but he just rubbed circles on Naruto's back as he looked at the training field. The damage were immense. These suppression seals could withstand an A-rank fire jutsu without even a single scorch mark. And yet, a 7-year-old boy was able to destroy the entire place. Cracks even going up to the walls. That was beyond impressive. It was certainly no wind jutsu Naruto used, as he had felt his shares of those while sparring against Asuma. He had never seen anything like this jutsu before, and that said a lot in his opinion. Such power for one so young. Master Chikaku was right about you, Naruto. You will grow up to be strong. And don't worry, I'll be there to guide you for as long as I can. Time skip. As Chikaku was meditating until he heard feet coming towards him. As he turned. Yes, Naruto, what can I do for you? As Naruto's purple eyes were looking at him before they looked down. I don't think I can do it. Do what, Naruto? He asked. Everything, the training, learning control of the power. As he saw the boy's eyes, he had been crying, and there were still marks running down his cheek from the tears that he had shed. Please, Master Chikaku, I don't want to hurt anyone anymore. Chikaku sighed at that. As he looked towards Naruto. Naruto, you wanted to be a shinobi, didn't you? As Naruto looked up at that, did you know as a shinobi, you'd have been asked to kill people? Chikaku almost flinched as he saw the horrified look on Naruto's face. He hated to see such innocence lost in this boy, but he had to do the right thing now. He had to prepare Naruto for what's to come. No ninja is without blood in their hands, not even the Hokage, especially not the Hokage. But do you know what separates most shinobis from common thieves and murderers? As Naruto shook his head no. They know what they fight for, be the home that they spent so long protecting, or the bonds they made with people in order to protect them. The elderly monk sighed, even he at one point had fought and killed. You know, Naruto, after some people experience war, they vow never to hurt anyone ever again. They shy away from all conflict. As his eyes hardened at that, he almost lost himself to a feeling of nostalgia and regret. Those people are cowards. Naruto stopped shaking at that, as his tears had stopped welled up in his eyes. You see, Naruto, peace is not about avoiding fights. It's about choosing them. As Chikaku grasped him on the shoulder, choosing them, said Naruto. As a head monk nodded once. You have a power to dispose and with patience and training, you can master it and become strong, very strong. But it is what you do with that strength that will define the kind of person you become. Knowing how and when to use that power is what matters. The question is to find what you're fighting for. And that is a journey every single person will find they have to do in their life. Naruto seemed to find some resolutions at himself. As he nodded, I think I understand now. Thank you, master, he said. Chikaku gave a small smile as he saw Naruto exit his room. As Chikaku made his way over back to the spot to resume his meditation. Before he did though, he took one last look at the retreating shadow. I hope so, Naruto-kun. For your sake, he thought to himself. Time skip. Damn it, Naruto, stop moving around so much. As two people are clashing. Maybe you just need to move faster, Sora. A grinning blonde ducked under a high kick as he slid towards the opponent. But Sora jumped up in the air and brought down his leg for an axe kick. But he found himself falling faster than he expected as he dropped to the ground. That's another point to me, Sora. As Sora grumbled as he saw a hand in front of him as he took it. How many does that make now? 5-2? Sora slapped away the hand now, in irritation. I would have had you that time if you hadn't used your gravity manipulation. It's cheating. Naruto seemed to chuckle as he patted the boy in the back. All fear is love and war. Senpai always says. As Sora scoffed. Before he smiled. Yeah, and what would Senpai know about love? At that, both boys burst out laughing. Oh? As both boys froze hearing that. Slowly turned their head. And what does your senpai know about love? Outside, two monks were passing by when they heard two loud thuds. The monks simply looked at each other before they sighed. Naruto and Sora again, they thought to themselves. Sorry, senpai, the two boys said as they rubbed their head. As Shiriku was sealing away his staff. Now boys, final bell's about to ring. We don't want you all sweaty before you go to bed. You know how Shigatsu will feel about that. Fears entered the boys' eyes before they nodded. They knew exactly how the grumpy keeper of the temple would feel about that, and the mere thought had them thinking about phantom pains. Alright, senpai, but first, I gotta show you something. The older monk raised an eye towards the energetic blonde. A year living in the temple now hasn't done much to calm his spirit. Would this happen to be a certain technique that Master Shikaku has forbidden you to use in any of the indoor training grounds? Naruto smiled as he rubbed back of his neck, glaring at Sora as Sora chuckled behind him. He was remembering the other time Naruto mastered the powerful technique at his disposal. No, senpai, I swear I have it this time. I know what I was doing wrong. The older monk looked at Naruto. Fine, but not inside. We don't need a repeat of what happened last time. As he looked across the open field that they were entering, as there was a massive hole in the wall. The results of Naruto's latest control over his technique. Not gonna happen, just watch me. As Naruto rushed forward, as he faced off against one of the fighting dummies. As Sora dropped to the ground, getting ready to laugh. As Shiriku watched intensely. As Naruto focused on the energy inside his body. As he controlled from becoming too strong, he learned the consequences about that the hard way. As he pushed his chakra to his hand in one time. As he raised his palm towards the wall. Towards the dummy. Almighty. Push! Both of them watched as the dummy was obliterated by the energy force, smashing into it. It soared across the field, raining stuffing and everything down as it went. Unfortunately though, that wasn't the only thing that went flying, as Naruto was sent sailing back in the opposite direction. But he came to a quicker stop as he embedded into the wall a few feet away, as he fell face first into the dirt, leaving an imprint of his body in the wall. A few seconds passed, as Sora burst out laughing. Even Shiriku had to stifle some laughter before he held up his student. I'm impressed, Naruto. You finally managed to divert the force of the technique, but you will need to work on counteracting that force on yourself. As Naruto just nodded, as his eyes were seeing three of his senpais looking down at him, as Sora came over and gave Naruto a shoulder to lean on, after he finished his laughing fit. While he found his friend misfortune funny, he was impressed by the attack. He surely didn't want to be on the wrong end of that. Alright, senpai, I'll help Naruto to his room. We were going to have another spar, but I don't think he's in that condition anymore. The monk nodded as he returned to his own quarters, as the bell went off. As Sora placed Naruto's hand on his shoulder, as he started to walk towards the living quarters. You're always doing this, you know. As Naruto groaned. As Sora simply chuckled. You're always trying to do the impossible. Again, he didn't get much of a response from his injured friend. Even so, you go ahead and try it over and over again, until you get it right, won't you? As he looked to see Naruto smiling. And then, you're gonna try to one-up me, aren't you? Sora simply chuckled. What can I say? You're a bad influence on me. Get some rest, and we'll see tomorrow how the score turns out. As he brought Naruto and lined on his futon. As Naruto already fell asleep, he chuckled to himself. His friend was a real idiot sometimes. But he was his friend. But guys, to be in episode right here. If you want the next part of this, go ahead and comment down below for part 2 guys, and I'll be posting it as soon as possible. And remember, if you're new and this is the first time you're hearing my voice, and you enjoy the videos, go ahead and click that red subscribe button and become part of the Making family. And thank you for all of your help and support. Remember to comment down below and tell me if you're new. I'll be replying and talking back to all of you guys. So yeah, without further ado, I'm out for now. See you guys soon. Peace. Thank you for watching. Naruto will be betrayed by Akarumo. See ya.